Yep, we'll be making our second road game in the SEC this year, and looking forward to going up and playing a strong Missouri team. I know Eli well and got a lot of respect for the job he's done.
We will begin with Jordan Hill of Dawgs 24/7.
Hey, Kirby, I wanted to ask about Ladd. You mentioned after Saturday's game him having to be limited at practice just as he deals with that foot injury. Has that been the case again this week as far as him being limited?
It's a volume issue, not really an injury that was sustained. It's just one of those sesamoid toe injuries that he has. So actually this week he's been much better. We shut him down last week for 2 days, and then he practiced 2 days, and it hasn't bothered him much. So he was able to do everything Monday and Tuesday, and last week, the week before, he did everything later in the week, but not earlier in the week. So he's been pretty good this week, getting lots of treatment on it, and just trying to communicate with us in terms of GPS yardage and volume to make sure that he stays under certain numbers.
And I wanted to follow up and ask about Darius Smith, just because you mentioned he got banged up Saturday. What injury was he dealing with, and has he been limited at all this week?
Undisclosed injury, really, and he's been fine. He's practiced. He's done some things and continues to work multiple positions for us. He's really a special teams player, featured.
Thanks.
Next is Mike Griffith of AJC Dog Nation.
Hey, Kirby, I've got a couple of questions. I'll just ask them together here and let you pick. One, if there was a report that Eric Gilbert returned to practice. I know last week you said he'd be day-to-day. If we could update that. And then the other issue that it's kind of a widespread thing that's been kicked around on rosters and depth charts and whatnot. And some teams do and some teams don't. Georgia doesn't. If you could share your philosophy on why we don't see those travel rosters or depth charts.
I really don't have any idea what you're referencing on the travel rosters, depth charts. No clue. But AG's been practicing with us and continues to do that, and he'll be day-to-day each day, and hoping that he can help us this year.
Eric Gilbert, I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on that. Eric Gilbert's availability and return.
That's who I was talking about, Eric Gilbert. He's been back practicing with us, continue to be day-to-day, and hopefully help us this year.
Thank you.
Next we'll go to Mark Weiser of the Athens Banner-Herald.
Kirby, how has Jalen Carter come along in practice with his ankle injury, and do you know yet the status of Javon Bullard for Saturday?
Yeah, we'll handle Javon's internally, and Jalen Carter's been practicing, taking more volume and rotating with those guys at the defensive line. Looks much better this week.
Okay. Also want to ask you, this is, I guess, your fourth trip to Missouri as Georgia's coach. I wonder what you remember about your first game there, that game down to the wire, and was that a big, getting a road win like that in your first season?
Yeah, that was a wild game. I don't remember much other than the last plays and the plays leading up to the empty Isaiah McKenzie play, and then we had to go out and stop them. And I remember them fumbling or something happened there at the end to make a stop. But it was definitely a wild game. A lot of tempo in it, and just unique place to play. I think they changed the stadium. I think we were on what is now the home sideline at that time, and then it flipped over now to when they built their new facility.
Yep. All right. Thank you.
Next is Steve Moulton of WZZN.
Coach, appreciate the time here this morning. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to get a thought or two on what you've seen out of Brady Cook and what impresses you about the Missouri quarterback, Coach.
Well, first thing, he's a really good athlete. He hurt us last year with his legs. He's got the ability to run, do a lot of things in the pocket. They do a lot of gun-run game with the quarterback, and they already are a good running team, but when you add the combination of a running quarterback that can throw the ball, I think it creates issues on third down in the red area where the quarterback can run the ball as well. So he's a tremendous athlete.
And if I could also as well, Coach, talk about end-of-game scenarios, much like what happened at the end of the Missouri-Auburn game, of how much when you're looking at film, kind of walking through yourself of end-of-game scenarios, and have you ever seen a game end like what occurred down at Auburn last weekend, Coach?
Yeah, you see it every week in college and NFL football, especially NFL football, where games are decided by such small margins. Not specifically that ending, but very similar. Whether I don't know if you're referencing the taking the field goal and trying to win the game, or whether you're referencing sticking the ball out or going across the goal line. So there's a lot of end of game scenarios that happened in that game that are textbook you try to teach and learn from. But every coach has their philosophy, and a lot of it is out of the coach's hands because the decisions that are made transpire on the field. We certainly try to educate our players and do the best job you can, and you hope that they follow your guidance. There's only certain times that you should extend the ball, and we've had that issue this year, even with Stetson. Just got to be smart with possession of the ball.
Thank you, Coach.
Next up is Chip Towers of the AJC.
Hi, Coach. I was late getting on here, so I don't know if you addressed this, but we got a chance to meet McCall, MJ Sherman last night, and I was unaware of a lot of his background. His father, senator in Liberia, and that. Just can you just talk a little bit about the man he is? Obviously, you addressed him playing outside linebacker and special teams for you, and doing all the right things on the football field. But what a fascinating story he seems to be. Off field.
No, he's a great kid. He does a tremendous job for us. One of the toughest guys I've been around. Has grown up a lot since getting here. Enjoyed his recruitment. He grew up, living a lot of the time with his sister and his mom. His sister Raisha, who he lived with a lot, and got to know them through recruiting. And just a great family, and a joy to coach. He wants to please his coaches because he wants to practice hard, and he understands discipline and toughness, and he's a great culture guy for our program because he sells out on special teams and does a great job.
Thank you.
Coach, we'll finish you up with Palmer Toms of Dawgs HQ.
Hey, Kirby, noticed that Tyke Smith didn't play in the game on Saturday. Is he dealing with an injury on top of his previous ACL? And same question with Xavier Story. Didn't notice him out there quite as much as he has been.
No, both those guys are fine.